What is life?
Yeah, what is life? That's a very good question.
There's many unanswered questions just very nearby. Inside my body, we know so little, so we can build enormous telescopes, but we don't really know how our building blocks of our bodies really work.
We think the universe is really complex, okay? But a single cell has the complexity of the universe.
I'd like to grasp the physics of these living systems and make us understand them.
You can understand these systems not from a biological perspective, but from a physics perspective. Physics gives a new way of thinking about living systems.
Essentially, living systems like you and I, plants and animals, we actually function because of the millions of tiny building blocks like proteins, DNA, nanomotors.
As a physicist, I think it's a whoa, what a great machine. And how does this work? You would love to see a movie of them so you can analyze it and study it.
You would see lots of proteins flying around randomly, bumping into each other. It's very disordered. Everything is moving in apparently random directions. An important part of looking at many of these molecules interacting is that's where we first see behaviors that we would associate to living systems.
We want to see life happening at the molecular scale. So small you cannot see them. We need to build special machines to be able to capture those moments. You can see a single molecule, a single polymerase, goes along the genome and synthesize a new copy of the genome. And that you do it in your lab and you see it.
One of the things we have been working on is C. elegans. The worm is really a miniature us. We have developed the microscopy tools to look into this worm, and we can see one individual protein move around and is processed in subsequent steps to really behavior. And it makes it possible to really study many of the processes that are also taking place in our bodies.
For non-living matter, an electron is an electron.
Non-living systems, they are very static.
But that's not true for an animal. How can we take all the training that we have from physics and apply it to something complicated like how a bird flies or how a fish swims? And we build an experiment in which we can measure that sort of precisely and fully. One of the remarkable things about behavior when you restrict to movement is that you can measure sort of the changes in body posture pretty much exhaustively.
Every time you start an experiment, you have an hypothesis. But when you get to the end of the experiment, you're always surprised by biology.
At this small molecular scale, living systems are to some extent unpredictable, but in a profound way.
The ever-appearing question, who are we, connects to what are we and how do we function? So to me, from a fundamental point of view, it's clear that we want to discover how we work.
There's something very mysterious about living systems, but living systems also just obey the laws of physics.